Society is not getting any healthier. In fact, we are getting sicker. Our next speaker is looking at health in a very different way and is changing lives as a result. Luc Vanderpeer has spent 15 years in and around the health industry as a personal trainer and more recently as a health consultant. After redefining what health means in his own life, he now does the same for his clients. Standing at 6 foot 7 inches tall, many of his friends call him the BFG, the Big Friendly Giant. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Luc Vanderpeer.
Yes, I am 6 foot 7. To get a couple of the really obvious questions out of the way, it is a little bit warmer up here, and no, I don't play basketball. The Cancer Council says that 1 in 2 Australians are going to be diagnosed with cancer at some point in their life. 1 in 2. And those are only the ones that are going to be diagnosed. Add to that heart disease, diabetes, obesity, the list goes on and on. Those are the results that science has got us with regard to health. What we need to do is shake things up, change our perspective, and look in a different direction for our health. We need to look to some ancient cultures for some health principles, and we would see some drastic shifts very quickly. We need to be getting our health from history. I believe in the concept of health from history so strongly because I am a product of these concepts. You heard in my introduction that I started my journey in health 15 years ago. I qualified as a personal trainer, but as soon as I was qualified, I felt drastically unqualified. I'd spent less than 250 hours in a classroom, and I had people putting this amazing machine that is the human body in my hands to mold into something better. I was drastically unqualified. Something was missing. It was 10 years later when I discovered the teachings of ancient Egypt. Do you know that the ancient Egyptians are still reputed today to have been one of the healthiest and most hygienic cultures to have ever walked the earth? There are 2 concepts from their teachings that I'd like to share with you today. Firstly, the concept of gnosis, praxis, intellicus. To know, to do, and to be. I'm going to take a stab in the dark and guess that everyone in this room knows that exercise is good for your health. So how many of you will acknowledge that you don't do enough of it? So you guys are all in gnosis. You know what you're supposed to do, but you're not actually doing it. There are possibly people in the room who are similar to myself. If I don't focus on and concentrate on doing exercise every week, I don't do it either. But I do it sometimes, which puts me and those other people like me in praxis. And that's actually the area where I want to focus today. But there might very well be some of those very unusual people out there who, with regard to exercise, are in intellicus. These are the people who exercise when they're on holidays. Not me. Definitely not me. So, we're going to focus on praxis. And the reason why I'd like to focus on praxis is because that's where we actually want to get to, and that's where we want to focus on getting to first. How do we get from gnosis into praxis and eventually onto Intellicus? You're probably expecting me to say, make a decision. A mentor of mine talks about the origin of the word decision meaning to cut off and kill all other options. In the health space, that's actually really difficult because every day we are bombarded with options that are not the healthy choice. So in order to kill all other options, we would need some serious willpower. And let's be honest, not many people have willpower in spades. So what we need to do is we need to make a choice. Just one. Because that means you're doing. You've gone from knowing to doing. We don't need to focus on the next step and it being a part of you. We just need to do every day. And that's one choice. We make them every minute of every day. So just make one choice, the healthy choice. Over time, those healthy choices will increase and the bad choices will decrease. And you might get to Intellicus, but as long as you're practicing and you're staying in praxis, you're going to improve your health. How do I know this? Because this has been my journey. I told you that I've spent 15 years in and around health. My health has gone up and down like a yo-yo through that period. A lot of it more down than up, I'll be honest. I've had bad habits. I tried to change, I struggled. But it wasn't until September of 2017 when I went to a retreat in Bali. Who here's been to Bali, by the way? It's a fantastic place to visit, isn't it? So I was at a retreat in Bali. At the time, I was carrying more than 20 kilos, 20 extra kilos on what I do today, and an extra 10 inches around my waist. And unbeknownst to me, this was to be my first experience of sclerology. Most people don't know what sclerology is. Sclerology is the study of the white of your eye to determine potential areas in your body where you have health concerns. So I didn't know they were going to do this, but I turned up at the retreat and they sat me down in a chair and they put a camera on my eye and they told me to look straight ahead and look left and look right and look up and do all of these different things. And I didn't actually know why they were doing it at the time. But they did that. And it wasn't until the next day that they handed me this packet of photos that they'd got developed. Have you ever been in a situation where you were given something that was yours and you wanted to immediately hand it back going, that's not mine, you've got this wrong? That was this scenario. They handed me my photos, I had a look at my photos and I was sick. Outwardly I wasn't, but internally I was. That was my gnosis moment. That was the moment that I acknowledged that I needed to change my habits and work on getting into praxis. The biggest strategy that I used to do that is actually the second concept that I want to share with you today. It's called intermittent fasting. Now, there are a lot of strategies out there all calling themselves intermittent fasting. The one that I choose to follow is definitely a health from history strategy. It can be found in the Essene Gospel of Peace, and it was actually also practiced by the ancient Egyptians. It breaks the day up into 3 8-hour periods. 8 hours for consumption, 8 hours for assimilation, and 8 hours for detoxification. Society today is not allowing the body to detox naturally. It doesn't give you that 8 hours to detox. And so what does the body do when it's got toxins in it that it can't deal with? It needs to store them. Its natural strategy to do that is to grow fat cells. I've told you already that through this strategy, I've lost 20 kilos and 10 inches from around my waist, simply by breaking my day up and allowing my body to detox. Now, do I do this every day? Not at all. Who in here has a friend who's dogmatic about someone or something, should I say? I have a friend who's dogmatic about a particular brand of soy milk. They only drink soy milk, and this particular brand is the only brand they'll drink. So if we go to a cafe for breakfast and they find that that cafe doesn't have their brand of soy milk, we all need to stand up and leave to go and find a cafe to be able to have some breakfast. This sort of dogmatism is not healthy. So I'm not dogmatic about intermittent fasting. Also, at the local farmers market, there's a pretzel stall that does really good jalapeno pretzels on a Saturday morning. Oh my God, they're good. So I'm not dogmatic about my intermittent fasting, and I have found I'm actually healthier as a result. So, two concepts. Praxis, coming from gnosis, praxis, intellicus, focus on practicing every day something to improve your health. And the other concept, fasting for a period every day. Give your body an opportunity to detox because it wants to, it needs to. And to finish, health is not a destination. It's a journey. Good luck directing your health journey. Thank you. Do you want to give me the